Today, across the world, agents for a healthy environment encouraged persons to protect Mother Earth. The rapid increase in natural disasters, the change in seasons, the decrease in some food crops are just some of the ills being attributed to the degradation of the environment. Between the pages, we talk, you guessed it, the environment. The sustenance of life comes from the earth. We tell you how it gets into your tap. Also, how to use natural resources for sources of income. All that and more. I'm Adrian Atkinson, and this is your Jamaica Magazine. Stay with us.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, June 5. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the recently completed Barbican Road expansion project was within budget and should not be viewed as a waste of taxpayers' money. Mr. Holness says the $4.4 million project is a loan negotiated with the Chinese government.
The NWA was instructed to negotiate smartly and very hard with our friends from China, Dr. Hu of Czech, to make sure that we got the best price and that we finish within budget and that there was no wastage or other forms of corruption attached to the construction.
The Prime Minister was speaking on Friday after a tour of the area. He asserted that completing the project within budget spoke to the level of accountability and integrity in the use of public funds. The Barbican Road project completion date was set back roughly 4 months due to inclement weather conditions in the latter part of last year. It's one of government's $164 million legacy projects and was upgraded to alleviate congestion in the area. Meanwhile, CEO of the National Works Agency E.G. Hunter is assuring that the remaining roadworks on Mandela Highway, Hagley Park and Constant Spring Roads will be completed on schedule and within budget. Mr. Hunter was briefing the media following a tour of the roadways.
So far, the prospects appear quite good in that regard, keeping my fingers crossed, and providing there's no adverse weather events between now and the next 6 to 8 months, we should be able to bring these projects in.
Mr. Hunter is asking for the understanding and patience of the public with the traffic, noise and dust nuisances in these areas. And in anticipation of traffic diversion, Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson says his team is on standby to guide motorists along the off routes.
There are some areas that will have to be closed down for works. We'll have to divert traffic, and we will ensure that in these areas where we divert traffic through other routes, that we provide enough security along those routes to ensure that the traveling public is safe.
In other news, the Ministry of Finance is reporting that approximately 130 public sector investments have been processed through the Public Investment Management System, PIMS, since its implementation in 2014. These include loans and grant-funded projects. The web-based system screens project proposals from government ministries, departments and agencies to ensure their feasibility and alignment with the country's development objectives. The PIMS is also in place to curtail underperformance of some public investment projects. Speaking at a recent JI's think tank, Executive Director for the Public Investment Management Secretariat, Douglas Livermore, said there had been strong and robust use of the system. He added that compliance was encouraging.
What this system is requiring our project developers to do is to take a more strategic approach to the development of their projects. Through the PIMS, it is hoped that careful selection sourcing of funding and scheduling of public investment projects will be done, ensuring that the people of Jamaica receive value for money for their public investment projects.
The Public Investment Management System was implemented through amendment to the Financial Audit and Administration Act. 53 Justices of the Peace JPs were commissioned into service for the parish of St. Andrew on the weekend. Speaking at the commissioning service, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck charged the JPs to be resolute within communities as they help to engender peace, harmony and philanthropy. He reminded those appointed that the updated 2018 JPs legislation allows them to operate as Justices of the Peace in and outside of their parish of residence.
When you offer your service across Jamaica, it is absolutely important for you to be fair-minded and ensure that fair play at all times is displayed as you adjudicate, as you give assistance, as you try to assist people.
And finally, the Tourism Ministry is strengthening its disaster resilience with the use of satellite phones. 6 phones purchased by the ministry at a cost of $3 million were handed over to destination managers on Monday. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the devices will allow for uninterrupted communication inland and across borders in the event of failure in domestic telecommunication networks.
Communication is a central part of resilience building. It enables us to not only connect with people and with ideas, but it enables also a positioning, a geopositioning of ourselves. Even if hurricanes are so strong that your cables are all destroyed, and even if the ocean currents destroy the underground cables that connect you elsewhere, the satellite is there and you can connect with it and talk.
Minister Bartlett says the satellite phones will improve communication across the tourism sector and with emergency operation centers. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thank you for watching.
Arguably, the most important substance provided by the earth is water. As the saying goes, water is life. Next, the work of the National Water Commission to get the water into our homes, schools and offices. Watch this.
The human body cannot function without water. While you may live for up to 3 weeks without food, you cannot go more than a week without water. From breaking down the food we eat so the body can use it, to helping us heal when we get sick, water is needed for almost every process that takes place in the body. And although 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, drinking it directly from seas, rivers, wells or aqueducts may make you sick. Untreated water contains bacteria and other germs, as well as chemicals that may be dangerous to the body. So in order to get the water from here to here safely, it has to be treated. Water treatment processes differ depending on the source. If the water is coming from a river, for example, here at the Negro River in St. Thomas, it usually goes through an extensive treatment process before reaching the pipe.
Here is where we do the first type of treatment in the form of sedimentation and screening. Behind me you can see where we screen the bigger stuff like the sticks, the stones and debris. Then we come down to the sediment where we separate the sand from the stones. And then this water will leave from St. Thomas and pipe into Kingston via pipeline into the Mona Reservoir.
The Mona Reservoir is the island's largest raw water storage facility and provides the liquid to over 30% of people living in Kingston and St. Andrew. If this is where you get your water, here is where the next step in the treatment process occurs.
Here in the reservoir, we allow for maximum levels of mixing, maximum levels of aeration, as can be done here at the facility. We also, at the reservoir, you allow for settling out of the silt and the suspended particles, dirt particles, that would otherwise be in the raw water. We then take the water from the reservoir and take it to the Mona treatment plant.
At the treatment plant, chemicals are added to further purify the water. Chlorine is first added to kill bacteria.
You have stages that include flocculation, where we actually add chemicals to the water that allow those microscopic dirt particles that are still in the water to be brought together in what we call flocks, and then we are able to skim it off and remove it from the water.
The water is then passed through filters which contain layers of sand, gravel, charcoal or synthetic materials that remove remaining small particles. The final stage is disinfection. Here, chlorine is added to kill any other bacteria or germ.
Ensuring that we have what we refer to as chlorine residual that goes with the water, so that as the water travels along the pipeline to our customers, should it come in contact with any germs along the way, there is enough chlorine residual in that water to destroy those germs and still be delivered to the customer in good quality.
The water is tested all throughout the treatment process to ensure that what you get in your pipe meets World Health Organization standards.
For several years running, the National Water Commission has won the best tasting water in the Caribbean. We have also been acknowledged by the various arms of the United Nations at different points in time as having one of the best quality water in the hemisphere.
That is definitely something we can drink to.
Protect Jamaica, plant your grass. Help us become more resilient to climate change impacts. Protect Jamaica, plant a tree. It improves the island's national biodiversity. Trees may be fruit, ornamental, or timber, but must be native or suitable to the area's natural landscape. Join the Jamaica Million Tree Campaign and help to plant 1 million trees by June 30, 2019. This is a call to action by the National Environment and Planning Agency.
One way of protecting the environment is to reuse, recycle, or upcycle. Elements of the environment, such as stones, leaves, and metals, may be recycled to make useful items.
Droplets of beads, creatively designed metals, painted wood, all handcrafted to adorn the neck, face, or limbs. Made from natural resources found on the island, local costume jewelers are designing a niche for economic empowerment.
Natural handbands. These are like from lucky seeds and RSI, and these bracelet is from copper with seed mixed in. And we have bamboo handband. We have leather handband over here, and we have wallets, sandals, and pipes and chalices. Natural, all handmade right here in Jamaica. I've been doing this business for over 40 years now. I've traveled all over the world, and this is the business that I do. This is my living, and I'm very proud of it. I was working at the post office for 18 years, but in the 18 years at the post office, I learned this trade. I'm self-taught. That's what I love about this. I think about a creative piece, and I manifest it with my hands. And that's what I love about it, manifesting what I think.
So we have two lines here. We have one called the Heavenlies, and then we also have another line that's completely made out of paper, crafted from scratch, hand-painted by a fine artist and varnished. And that one is called Inspired by Nature. And if you look at it, you'll see things that remind you of sunsets or hillsides and mountainous reliefs and fruits and flowers. have some freshwater pearls, we have shells, we have upcycled, I would say, materials that we used to make the earrings, so paper. So, and we do a lot of seeds and shells. I work a lot with shells. So those sorts of things.
I'm telling you this, we don't know how rich we are. We're a very rich country. I'd love if we could concentrate on developing our skills and using our local product and advance. We are so rich that it's confusing sometimes to see what we're doing, some much stupid things, killing each other, robbing each other. We don't have to do that. We have everything here. So we need to just concentrate and focus and be positive and use the things that we have, because we have a lot.
Just being more mindful of what you're doing every day and what you're using every day, you know, paper instead of plastic. That's kind of, you know, the stereotypical answer, but really thinking about where you're buying your products. Are you buying things that are locally made? Are you buying things that are imported more than the locally made?
Stop. Think before you burn. The dry season is on, so there's little to no rainfall and wind speeds increase around this time too. What if the fire you light gets out of control? Where would you get the water to out the flame? Why not try bagging up waste and putting it outside for collection? If you absolutely must burn, construct a fire break by clearing an area around the site to be burnt. Use water to wet the perimeter of the brush being burnt. Burn in small piles and be sure to burn one pile at a time. If no water is available, ensure you have some dirt to douse the fire. Remember, take stock of yourself and think before you burn.
The island's chief planning agency, the Urban Development Corporation UDC, has implemented a number of environment-based conservation activities. The corporation has executed environmental programs in schools and communities addressing matters such as solid waste disposal, shoreline protection, and mangrove preservation. 2018 marks 50 years of existence for the company, months of which have been used to plan environment protection campaigns. Next, the corporation 50th anniversary Thanksgiving service.
When it comes to making development happen, the Urban Development Corporation UDC is on the ball. When it's time to lend a helping hand, you can always count on the UDC. And most importantly, the UDC never forgets to give thanks for their success. That's why for 50 strong years, they are still standing tall.
May the footprints that we leave them to believe, and the lives we live inspire them to obey.
On April 15, the UDC commemorated its golden anniversary at the Kingston Parish Church under the theme GLOW, an acronym for growth, love, opportunities, and wealth.
Renew the board, management, staff, and other stakeholders, that they may recommit themselves this day to the cause for which the corporation was established.
The UDC's journey started on March 21, 1968, by an Act of Parliament commissioning the organization to lead transformational development across the island. This foresight was the vision of former Prime Minister the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, whose message was read by UDC's General Manager Dr. Damon Graham.
The UDC did not let me down, as no private investment group at the time would have been able to handle the huge project, and I safely say 50 years onwards that we would be hard-pressed to find such a multidisciplinary cadre of skilled persons to do what the institution is still doing.
Undoubtedly, our UDC can be regarded as an iconic organization in Jamaica.
It has impacted Jamaica greatly. A lot of persons are being employed or have been employed.
I went to UDC as a, what they call accountant. I went up in the accounting ranks, and because of the diversity of UDC, I was able to be promoted to a manager.
When you consider our current mantra, which is grow to love, opportunities and wealth, I think all those have somewhat impacted my life, and I'm thankful.
Having laid the foundation over the past 50 years, the UDC is continuing with major projects in town centres. Works include the rehabilitation of groins and development of closed harbour beach in Montego Bay. For Ocherius, infrastructure upgrade will include connecting boardwalks from the pier to Ocherius Bay Beach. Meanwhile, the downtown Kingston redevelopment plan is taking shape with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Grace Kennedy buildings now far advanced. There is also the plan to build out the National Heroes Park and the latest plans for the development of a third city.
The time ahead of us holds exciting prospects for continuity in infrastructure upgrade.
We're even more enthused about UDC's role as a catalyst for growth for the next 50 years.
The Urban Development Corporation has had a major impact on Jamaica's development since independence.
As part of a year-long celebration, a staff event was also held at the Festival Marketplace in downtown Kingston.
Congratulations, UDC, on achieving 50 years of development.
I believe that it is a wonderful time to remember the efforts of all our stakeholders and associates, and to say thank you to the staff of the UDC throughout Jamaica.
The role of the UDC will continue to be a major role in taking Kingston and the other cities in Jamaica to a grand and new era.
The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. To learn more about the work of the Urban Development Corporation, call 876-656-8031 or visit their website at www.udcja.com. You may also follow them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit their information center on the ground floor, Kingston Mall, downtown Kingston.
Join the fight. Quit smoking for life.
Man and natural-made metal works, which have become artifacts, are being periodically polished and cared for to ensure they last for generations. The Jamaica National Heritage Trust is tasked with this mandate. Take a look.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the headquarters house, home of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. We're going to take you through some of the ropes in the methods in conservation, so please come along with us. Thanks for joining us in our conservation lab. We have here working with us Mr. Darrington Ferguson, as well as Mr. Frank Gale, and we'll be looking at some of the methods they will be applying to different material types for the preservation of our material culture of Jamaica. First of all, we have here some cannonballs that are usually found with some extent of corrosion. Mr. Ferguson is actually removing mechanically some of the concretion from a cannonball, and after he has removed that, then we would wire it. This wired metal object we would then install in our electrolytic tank. In the process of electrolysis, what we are actually doing, we are primarily reversing the process of corrosion. Once it has been electrolyzed, it would look something like this. So we would then proceed to brush to remove any loose rust that would be left on it. We would then put the iron object in some pure water, which we call deionized water, and that would be heated to ensure that the metal itself would facilitate the extraction of any impurities that might be left in the body of the iron. After that, we would dry the iron object. Most times we dry it in alcohol, and that would remove the water from the body of the object. And after drying, we would take a substance we call tannic acid, applying several coats, and it would form somewhat a stable surface for the iron object. And then the final stage is waxing to provide a coating or a lacquer on the surface of the iron object. Here we have Mr. Gale. He's actually applying orthophosphoric acid to remove slight rusting or corrosion from the case of a sword. He is actually using what we call a chemical as well as a mechanical means of so doing. We have close to it the extractor system, which is used to remove harmful fumes from the atmosphere in order to make the environment a much healthier one in which and a safer one for us to work. Lead corrodes by forming mainly lead sulfide and lead carbonate. So we would be soaking it first of all in ammonium acetate, and that would basically remove within a few hours the lead carbonate. In order to remove any residue of ammonium acetate that might be left on the lead, we would then rinse it quickly for a short time period. Just rinse it in a bath of a very dilute solution of hydrochloric acid. If there are any corrosion left at that stage, then we would remove that mechanically, either with very likely with a glass bristle brush. After that, we do as we would with the iron. Coming over here now, we have copper or copper material. We have been soaking this copper in a substance we prepare in the lab, which we call alkaline Rochelle salt. The alkaline Rochelle salt will remove from it largely what we call bronze disease. So we soak it in the solution. The chemical will dissolve the bronze disease. After that has been dissolved, then we would rinse in, for example, a dilute solution of sulfuric acid to remove any slight impurities or corrosion product that might be left there. After that, we will, as we do with the other metals, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you were well informed by the information we've imparted today, and you're welcome to join us at any time, particularly at our heritage sites. And when you see our heritage sites, you see the artifacts that are there, you will appreciate to a greater extent the effort that has gone into its preservation.
This is where the pages close for today. Thank you so much for turning the pages with us. Please stay connected via one of our social networks. We are just a click away. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.